I'd like you to consider these 4 concepts that I'm going to put forth in today's vlog. And these are concepts I've actually been tossing around for years and have mentioned a time or two, but most recently I alluded to them in a conversation with Dr. Kathy. Today I want to get them front and center in this vlog so you can consider what I'm saying. You. Seriously, take the time to consider these 4 concepts and then think for yourself, without some expert or guru citing a study, whether what I'm saying makes sense. Now, the first concept is what modern healthcare considers healthy is actually far from it from an evolutionary perspective. It is sick and well below the threshold of robust health we were actually required to have as hunter-gatherers. The second concept is formal healthcare science largely studies the sick and those with disease, such as diabetes research studies diabetics, heart disease studies subjects with cardiovascular disease. Cancer research is based around inducing cancer in lab mice and then clinical trials on those with cancer. None of this looks at why people who don't get these things don't get them. And here's the spoiler alert. There are literally billions poured into each of these areas of research. Now, third, conventional healthcare therapies tend to treat the symptoms rather than address the root causes when it comes to chronic diseases. And finally, fourth, even human performance studies largely fail to study the underlying metabolism and physiology outside of the constraints of their institutional biases. Doesn't matter which camp, high carb, keto, plant-based, or carnivore, etc. The controlling for variables, the conformational bias, and those institutional guardrails prevent a more nuanced and individual form of investigation. Think about that, individualized and nuanced. Now consider our approach, a realignment of our metabolism and physiology back to the one nature intended us to have, the one where fat is your aerobic energy source. Secondly, we develop, then study the human potential at that very edge of human performance. And then we corroborate the real-world results of competition with data from standardized controlled testing. To put it bluntly, we study super healthy people, not sick ones. And you can actually learn a thing or two about being healthy and prevent disease this way. Third, develop real-world protocols from all this that allow for and factor in individual variables and the dynamics of human physiology. Fourth, wherever possible, we use real food and food-based products or natural supplements because that same millions of years of evolution that created modern humans also went into the developing of the foods and natural supplements you consume. Fifth, the restoration of metabolic health prevents and can reverse chronic disease by eliminating the cause, most often without pharmaceutical intervention. And now this is why we don't wait for the science. We lead it. Yeah, that's a pretty bold statement to make, but think about this. Our team of doctors, athletes, and myself studies what works for super healthy humans that are capable of incredible things like run hundreds of miles across the desert while retaining their vibrant health to prevent sickness and disease versus research on the big 3 of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. Now, certainly, we need to do research in these areas, but you need to recognize that with the billions of dollars flowing into these diseases and their prevalence showing no signs of abating, you have to question the driving motivation. And while 99.9% of those clinicians and researchers have great intentions to cure and find a cure, the simple fact that the cure is more elusive than ever suggests a fundamental change of approach is needed. All you have to do is look at the living, breathing, fat-burning data set of our heroes and what that represents. And with our guidance, you too can lead yourself to higher health and peak performance.